Hi, in this video we are going to see what is PGP and how to create the certificates, mainly the private and public certificates, and then we are going to test through some online tool how to encrypt the content using a public key and how to decrypt the content using a private key. And once you have verified everything, then we are going to open and create the MuleSoft project from Anypoint Studio, and we are going to use a cryptography module in order to encrypt the content, and also we are going to see decrypt the content using the same certificates. So before that, what is PGP? It's a pretty good privacy, which is an encryption program that provides a cryptographic content. Okay, for example, you wanted to send something in a more secured manner. For example, you wanted to send a communication data to your bank. For example, I have a company called Tech Lightning where I wanted to receive some data from my bank. So in that communication, if any financial communication is involved, then instead of a plain data, I wanted to receive the content in a more secured way so that they can send the content in an encrypted content format, which I can receive it in my organization, and then I can decrypt the content in order to read that particular message. So for that, what we need to do, so we need to create private and public keys, and then private key is mostly for my organization, which I should not share it with anybody. So when somebody wants to encrypt the content and send it to us, then I'll share my public key to them so that they will use public key. For example, in this case, bank will use my public key in order to encrypt the content, and then they will send it to me. So once I receive it, I will use my private key to open and read the message. So this way, this communication will get more secured, so that in between nobody can hack the content and read the content. So whoever is having a private key, they will be able to read the content. So that's where the private key is more secure, and which we need to keep it, and which we should not share it with anyone. And also those kind of keys, we have to have some additional encryption or additional security, where you have to have additional passphrase, which is like a password, which you can hold it in order to open or process or read that particular message. So in this session, what we are going to do, so we are going to create a certificates, and then we are going to use it in online and also from the MuleSoft in order to validate how PGP is working using MuleSoft. Now we are going to create the certificates, mainly the private and public keys. So in order to create those keys, we need some software. So for that, I am going to download some Cleopatra software, which is for Windows. I'm going to download it, and there is a link available under this gpg4win.org. So you just click the download, and then you just click this file, which is 27 MB. So I'll just select this bank transfer option, and then I'll choose this download link, and it's saying it's downloading the exe file now. And now once it's downloaded, I'll just double click and open the exe file. So now it's almost downloaded. So I'll just open the exe file. Basically, we are installing the Cleopatra software, and when you install, it will have many options where we are going to select only the Cleopatra software. So the exe setup is happening now, and I'll just select English, and then I'll just do next. And there are many software selected by default. I'll just ignore this, and I want only Cleopatra for now. So I'll just click next, and then I'll click this destination folder where we wanted to install the software, and I'll just click install. So now the software is getting installed. So once installed, we will be opening the software, and we will create the certificates. So the installation is complete. So I'll just do a next, and then there is a checkbox which is selected run Cleopatra. So I have selected that as well, and I'll just click finish. So now it will open the Cleopatra software for the first time. So when it opened, right, I think I don't need this anymore. So I'll just close this browser, and yeah, so this is the Cleopatra software. It's loading all the initial setup. Once that is done, we are going to create the certificates. So it's loading, and once it's done, right, so we'll go to this certificates tab, which will be empty, and then maybe there will be a welcome page also, and from there also there is an option to create the new certificate pair. Yeah, so it's loaded. So you have to come to the certificates tab, and you'll be able to see this new key pair. You just click that, and it's asking a name. So for this demo, I'll just give just name, okay, Tech Lightning I'll just give, and email ID you can give any email ID, and again it's optional only, so I'll just fill my email ID and protect the generated key with the passphrase, so which is also I'll select, and this is kind of additional password. And in the advanced settings you can select the algorithm. For example, for this particular demo I just wanted to choose the RSA algorithm, which I have selected it. And then if you see here, it's valid for 2 more years, because now it's 2022 4th February and it's valid till next 2 years. And by default it's selected with signing and certification, and I have choose the RSA algorithm. So now I'll just give OK, and I'll just create. So it's creating a key pair. So once it's created a key pair, we will be able to download that as well. So that is what we'll see. And it's asking a passphrase, because this is a passphrase, this is additional password we are setting in order to open the private key. So we will be creating 2 different key. One is a private and public key, and in order to open the private key, or in order to process some of the incoming messages with the help of private key, we might need this passphrase, which I'll set it with some value. So you can give any value. For this demo I'll just select with or I'll give some value which is Tech Lightning. So this is like a additional password which you need to set it. I'll just give Tech Lightning and I'll just give OK. And it's saying it is asking a special character. So I'll just, for this demo I'm not using a complex password, but when you set it you have to give a complex password. Take this anyway. So I'll just take this anyway, so that the same password whatever I gave for passphrase which is Tech Lightning, which will get accepted. See here, the key pair created successfully, and it's having some fingerprint value. And also if you see the background, right, and you are able to see there is one line got added with the name called Tech Lightning and with the email ID, and it's certified and valid from today until 2024, and there is a key ID which is coming, which is nothing but the same key ID whatever you see in the fingerprint. If you see at the end, right, and you'll be able to see it's ending with 5FB4. See here, it's also ending with 5FB4. So I'll just copy this fingerprint alone, and for now I'll just put it into Notepad, because we'll be using that one later. So this is our fingerprint. I'll just remove this line, and I'll just click finish now. So this, if you can double click and open as well, so you'll be able to see your email ID and name. These are all optional, and trust level is showing ultimate, and valid from validity, and the type is open PGP, and there's a fingerprint. So you can copy the fingerprint from here also, or when you create a key pair also, it was showing in the created successfully, right, and from there also you can copy. Okay, so when you copy from here, there is additional space which you need to remove, but when you copy from the initial page, you will be able to take it without space as well. So now I'll just keep close here, and I'm going to export this key. There is an option called export. Okay, so when you export, and I'm going to put in a download folder. So I'll just go and create one folder, because download folder I have many files. So I'll just create a new folder, and I'll call that as a PGP demo. Okay, so this is just a folder just to keep our files there, and I'm going to use that folder so that we know what are the files we are copying into our folder. So this is public key, because I just given an option with the export. Okay, when you give an export option, it will download the public key. Okay, so if you see here, it's ending with ASC as an extension. Okay, and if you see here, this is a ending with public, and it's a ASC extension, and I'll save this one. And once it's saved, right, and you'll be able to see, go to this folder, and you'll be able to see this file. And even you can open this file from the notepad. So I'll just open it in notepad and show how the data looks. See here, it's starting with begin PGP public key block. So when you do a export option, it will download the public key. Okay, so that is why it's saying public key and begin, and it's a PGP one. And then if you go at till end, and you'll be able to see there is a end block as well. So starting, there's a begin block, and then there's a content, and then there is a end block. So this is your public key. I'll just close this one. And for MuleSoft, right, we need this key in a different format, this public key. So for that, I'm going to change this extension to PG. So this is the extension I wanted to save it, because the MuleSoft will be giving this particular format, and I'll save this one, and you will be able to see one more file. See here, this GPG file is coming. So if you open that in Notepad, right, and it will be kind of having some kind of a junk characters, and it's kind of encrypted content, and you'll not be able to read properly. Okay, so this is the content for GPG. So there are two files, both are public certificates only, one in a extension .asc format and other one in a GPG format. Okay, this is public key. So we have downloaded the public key now. So now in the same software, there is an option to download the private key. So earlier we created, so when you see the message called key pair created successfully, it's created the private key and also the public key. Now we are just downloading it. So there is a way, see here, the backup secret keys. So this secret key is nothing but private key. Okay, secret means private only. So it's a private key. We are going to download it. So I'm using a same folder, and you look at the name, the end, right, it's having secret. So earlier it was having public, which is a public key, and when you use the export secret keys, which is a private key, which will end with secret. And again, I'm saving with the AAC format. I'll save that, and I'll go to this. Okay, so it's asking a fast phrase. It's mainly whatever you have given a fast phrase first, right, that you have to give, because it's a private key and it's more secure. So you need to have additional security. So it's asking us to give that, so that, you know, it will allow us to download from the tool itself. Secret key successfully exported, and I'll just go here. This is a secret key, and again I'll open and show it in a notepad. See here, earlier when you open a public key, it was having public key here, and here it's a private, so that's why it's having private key begin block, and at the end it will have private key end block. Okay, so this is the private key. So now similar way I'll download it in the another format as well, and which is GPG. Okay, so this also we are downloading in a GPG format, and it's asking fast phrase, which is tech lightning, which I gave, and I'll just give OK, so that it will download the files. See here, it downloaded the files, and again when you open this particular format of file, you will be able to see the kind of encrypted content, so you'll not be able to read it. Okay, so now this data, whatever we wanted to download from the particular tool, for a public key we downloaded two different file in a two different extension, but again it's a public key. Other one is private key. These two, whatever I highlighted, it's a private key, which is ending with secret. Okay, so now we have these two keys, which is created using this Cleopatra tool. Okay, so in the online tool we can validate these particular keys are working or not. So I'll just go and open my browser. So I'm just opening Chrome, and there I'm just going to simply PGP Online Tool. Okay, so I'm just searching some tool, and whatever this first one, right, 8gwifi.org. So that's the one I'm opening now. See here, this is the online tool. If you have any PGP keys, mainly the private and public key, you can have that, and then you can validate that from this particular page. First we will try to validate from this particular page it's working or not. Then we will try the same thing from MuleSoft. So now I'm just going to encrypt the message. So in order to encrypt, you always need to have a public key. Okay, so you always remember, if you're going to encrypt, then you need a public key. Okay, so I'm just going to test with some sample message. So I'll just type some sample message. This is sample message from Tech Lightning demo. Okay, so this is my sample message, and I'm going to use some public key for our testing. So what I'll do, I'll just use, this is our public key, right? I'll just copy this sample key, which is in a plain text format. I'll just copy that and put it into this PGP public key section, because we are copying a public key only. And see the below, it's generated this PGP message, which is encrypted, and whatever the content I have given here, right, this is a sample message from Tech Lightning demo, which is converted to this kind of message, because what has happened, using this public key, this particular content got encrypted now, and this is your message. See here, begin PGP message. Earlier when you see the keys, right, it will have public key, correct? If you see here, public key. Whatever I copied, it's having public key. And this is message, because whatever the content, this content, right, it's encrypted and it's stored in this value. I'll just copy this value and again I'll just put it into somewhere in my notepad. So this is my encrypted message. I'll just minimize a little bit. So this particular content, right, it is having a encrypted data of this particular message. So now whatever the content I selected here, right, this is sample message from Tech Lightning demo. So that is what it's hiding it here, because the content is encrypted and this is the content we have. So in the real scenario, if you wanted to secure some content, send it over the network, the source who is sending the content, right, they will apply this public message, and finally when they send the message, instead of the plain content like hi, this is the message from Tech Lightning demo, instead of that content, they will send a content like this. The receiving party, they will use a private key in order to decrypt this content. So that is what you are going to see now. You just select decrypt message and there's a text area which I'll just copy this particular message. Okay, so I'll copy this message. So this particular content now, which is a encrypted content, right? So I'm going to use a private key here in order to decrypt this particular content. Whatever the content I placed in the first PGP message, right? I'm going to apply my private key here in order to decrypt my content. So I'll just go and open this is my private key. I'll just open and notepad and I'll just copy this one and I'll just paste it here. Okay. And then you also have to fill. Okay, so the cursor, right, I'm just scrolling up and then I'll just come until end and then I have changed it. Okay, so see here, this is my private key only and I will show it from the notepad also. And if you look at the content, it's starting with IQW and this is also starting with IQW. So this is my private key only. And passphrase, right, I just gave Tech Lightning, right, so that I'll fill it here, Tech Lightning, and then decrypt PGP message. So it is using a encrypted content, and then this is my encrypted content, and then this is my private key, and also with the passphrase it's decrypting and then it's showing the content here. See here, this is a sample message from Tech Lightning demo. So in this page, so even though I gave it as a PGP message, we have applied a private key, passphrase, in order to decrypt the content. So now you understood. So whenever you wanted to encrypt any content, you need a public key. Whenever you want to decrypt any content, so here you have encrypted content which you want to decrypt, then you need a private key plus passphrase. Then you will get a actual content. This way anybody can send the encrypted content to your organization, which you can apply your private key plus passphrase, using which you can decrypt the content, you can process the message. Similarly, for in any case, right, for example, you are doing some bank transaction. The source is a bank and they are sending some content to your organization, and that content is more secured content and some financial information is there. Instead of sending a plain content, what they will do, they will get a public key from the organization, which they will use it to encrypt the content, so that the content is encrypted now. So now only who can decrypt it, who is having a private key and whoever is having a passphrase, right, they will use that in order to decrypt the content. Normally this private key and passphrase, we should not share it with anyone, because this is organization key and which we will use it to decrypt the content which is coming from the external system or external organization. Now we have exported the keys and which we have and which we have also tried from the online. So now we are going to try same thing from MuleSoft as well. So I just open the MuleSoft Anypoint Studio and I'll just create a simple and new project, and which I'll call Encrypt and Decrypt PGP Demo. So this is what my project name. I'll just click finish, and this will be a very simple project where I'm just going to have one listener in order to receive the request, and then I'm going to encrypt it first, and then I'm going to show what is the encrypted content. Then later I'm going to decrypt and show it that as well with the help of private keys. So now just I add the listener first, and then I'll just complete the listener configuration first, which I'll just do it with the default port, which is 8081. And once that is done, I'll just give OK. And then the HTTP endpoint, whatever we have, right, and that I'm going to set that as a encrypt. Okay, so I'll just give OK now. So mainly for any module, right, or whenever you create a project, the PGP module, right, which is a cryptography module, which will not come in the default, which you have to add it from the exchange. And I'll just give this as a encrypt. So whenever I call my endpoint with encrypt, my content will get encrypted. Okay, so now I'll just search it in exchange, and I'll just search crypto. And if you have not logged in already to your AnyPoint platform, you just give a username and password here, so that you'll be able to connect to your exchange in order to download the cryptography module. So I'll just click finish, so that the cryptography module, which will get downloaded to your AnyPoint Studio, mainly into this project. See here on the left side, now only core HTTP sockets are there. Now crypto got added. I'm going to use PGP Encrypt. Okay, I'll just drag and drop this PGP Encrypt into my canvas, and this is the one we are going to call in order to encrypt the message. In order to encrypt, what you need a public key. So always remember public key for encryption. Okay, always remember public key for encryption. And I'm going to configure that module configuration. You have to give a public key here. In the public key ring, you have to give a public key path. So before that, I have to copy the file. You just go to the main resources and copy your public key. So here you need to give a GPG format. So that's the reason I have downloaded the GPG file also. So you just copy the file and put it into your resources folder. I have pasted it, and I'll just copy the file name now, because the file name we need to place it in the configuration. I just copy the public file name. The same file name only we copied inside the resources also. So now I'll just go to the configuration, and public key ring, you have to give the file name, which is your public key, and then come to this key, and then there you give what is the key ID. Okay, so this is any ID. Okay, so this is, I can give any name. So this key we will refer it later in the same flow. So which I'll just create like a tech key. You can create any key, and this fingerprint, right, and initially remember you copied on fingerprint. So the same thing you just copy and paste it here. And this passphrase you don't need to give, because this is just for a encryption. Encryption you need only the public key and fingerprint, and you don't need the passphrase. Okay, but later we will use it. I'll explain. That is mainly for the decryption part. Okay, so whenever you use a private key, use a passphrase. Whenever you use a public key, you will use fingerprint. Okay, so now I'll just click finish, and you just copy this key name, key ID, which I gave it like a tech key, and then you just give OK. So now the configuration which is required for crypto module, mainly for the encryption, it's done. I just gave OK, and then I'll just maximize this one. And you see here there is an algorithm AES 256. So when I create the certificate new key pair, right, there in the advanced option I have selected AES algorithm. The same algorithm I have selected here, and then the key ID, right, this key ID is nothing but in this particular connected configuration I gave some ID which is tech key, right, the same key you have to give it here. Now you see here whatever the warning it was coming, it's gone now. Now with this setup, right, with the public key name and the fingerprint value, it will be able to encrypt the content whatever we are going to send it to this Mule application. So what I'll do, I'll just simply add the logger just to show the encrypted content. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, so I'll say encrypted content hash, and then I'm going to print the payload. Okay, so now this will get printed, and I'll save this one. I'm just saving this project. I'm going to start this project, and whatever the earlier project it's running, I'm just stopping that. I'm starting this particular project, which is encrypt and decrypt demo. So now meanwhile I'll just open the Postman application in order to trigger some web service request from this testing tool. So Postman is kind of a web service testing tool using which I'm going to post some request to this application. Because this application it's going to run in a default port which is 8081, which I'm listening in a port 8081 with the endpoint called Encrypt. So I'm going to invoke that, or I'm going to send request to that particular endpoint from my Postman application. So once that is open, I'm going to send some request so that the request will be received in the listeners by the listener, and then it will go here and it will do the encryption, and then it will print the logger with the encrypted content. So once we encrypt the content, later we will use some decrypt in order to decrypt the content, and I'll show the data is matching. So in this example, we itself doing encrypt and decrypt, and but what will happen in the real scenario, the source who is sending the message, they will using the public key, they will encrypt the content and they will send it to us. In the MuleSoft, we will decrypt it. Similarly, if we need to send some encrypted content to somebody else, right, or some other organization, they will share their public key to us. So we need to encrypt and send the content to them so that they will receive it and they will decrypt it through their application. Okay, so but this demo we are going to encrypt, and then we are going to see how we are encrypting it and also how to decrypt it as well. So once the application is deployed, I'm going to post some request from my Postman tool. I'll just open a new window and I'll just change this to post method, and I'll just give my endpoint as localhost 8081, and then I gave endpoint name as encrypt. Okay, then I'll just go to the body and raw. Here you can post any content, because we are going to post some data. So I'll just say any message is fine. So I'll say hello, welcome to Tech Lightning demo for PGP. Okay, so this is the message. I'm going to send it from here, and I'll just go to the Anypoint Studio just to see my application deployed successfully or not. See here, there's a deployed message, which means the application is deployed. So I'm going to send the content. I'm just going to send the request to by this endpoint, and see here, whatever the message, it got encrypted, which is a PGP message. So now this content got encrypted using a public key, and we got this response. So this is our encrypted content. And same way, right, I have given a logger also just to log encrypted content. This is my value, and then this is the entire payload. So whatever the message which I sent via this one, which is hello, welcome to Tech Lightning demo for PGP, which got converted as a encrypted PGP message. I'll just copy this message, and whatever earlier I did, right, I'll just delete it, and I'll place this message which we are doing through MuleSoft, right? So this is the message. So what is my original content? So this is my original content. I'll just have that also, original content, and this is my original content, and this is my encrypted content. So we applied a public key, we applied a fingerprint in order to get the PGP message with the help of Anypoint Studio cryptography module. Okay, so now what we have done, it's for the encryption flow. Okay, so even I can rename this flow to encrypt demo. Okay, so this is the encrypt flow, and now I'm going to create a similar flow which is for decrypt. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one more HTTP listener. There I'm just going to give a endpoint as decrypt. Okay, so it will reuse the same listener configuration. Here I'll use decrypt. So I have used a decrypt as an endpoint, so that whenever you call with decrypt, this particular flow it will get invoked. And also I'll just change the display name here, which I'll say decrypt demo. Okay, so this is the decrypt demo, and listener is receiving a decrypt message. Even you can copy this one and you can put it in this one, so that you know what is your endpoint. Okay, which is decrypt. And now what I'll do in the crypto module, I'll just do a PGP decrypt. See here, PGP decrypt, I'm just dragging and dropping into my canvas. So now here also you have to configure the PGP related configuration. So what we need to do here, what you need to fill, as we are going to decrypt, whenever you want to decrypt, you need a private key. Okay, so private key I didn't copy here, so I'll just cancel here, and I'll just go to my files, and what is the secret is always a private key. Okay, secret is always a private key which I will copy. I am copying the GPG extension. Okay, and I'll just paste it into my resources folder. I have pasted it. Secret key is there, which is our private key, which I am going to fill it now. So we have to fill the private key ring with this particular file name. So I'll just copy this file name. I have copied the file name with the extension. I'll just go here and I pasted it here. So now the key ID, right? Again, you can give any key ID. Even I can give tech key 1 or anything. So as of now, I'll just give the same key. And fingerprint you don't need, and passphrase you need it. Passphrase you need it, which is nothing but I gave the password like tech lightning, right? So that's the one I'm giving, and I'll just click finish, and then I'll click OK. Maybe I'm not sure the fingerprint is required, so we'll try that first, and then I'll just give OK. So I saved it, and then here you need to give a file name. So here there is no key, anything required. So I'll save this one. Similarly, I'll add a logger so that we can print the decrypted content. So I'll just go here and then I'll just print like decrypted content, and I'll put hash, and then I'll just give a payload so that the entire payload, the decrypted payload, will get printed. Decrypted payload, I'm just printing it, and then I'll save this one. This project is already running, so whatever the changes, it will get deployed now. Then once you see the deployment is complete, right, then we can post the request again. So how do I post the request? I need to call the decrypt one. So I'll just go and open the new window. I'll say post localhost 8081, and then the endpoint is decrypt, and then I'll click body raw. Here I'm going to post the raw content. So the content what I'm going to post is, I'm just going to post this encrypted content, because already we have encrypted this particular message which generated this encrypted content, which I'll copy, because now the demo whatever we are trying, right, that is to decrypt the content. Okay, so this is my content which I'm going to decrypt it. So I'll just come to, so it's saying some of the informations are missing, which is like a fingerprint is missing. So we need to give a fingerprint for decryption as well. So I'll just open that and I'll just give the fingerprint. So we gave the private key, and here you have to give a fingerprint as well. So which I'll copy, which is mandatory even for decryption, which I'll click finish, and then I'll give OK, and I'll save everything, and then I'll just come to console and see is there any error. So once we see it successfully deployed, we are going to send the data. See here, it's loaded the application and it started the application with the latest changes. So now I'll just come and click send here. So our decrypt demo flow is going to receive a data. So it's received the encrypted content. It is internally using a private key, fingerprint, passphrase to decrypt the content, and it's decrypted the message. And see here, this is our response, which means our MuleSoft decryption flow is working fine, which is able to decrypt the content successfully. See here, hello, welcome to Tech Lightning demo for PGP, and you compare with our original content, exactly same, right? So what has happened? Decrypt module has received the data, which is the encrypted content. It came here, it applied the private key with the help of fingerprint and also the passphrase, and it decrypted the content. And again we are using a logger also. So you go to the console and see, you'll be able to see that message like decrypted content. See here, this is the message I gave, decrypted content, and then this is the decrypted content value. See, everything is working perfectly for the encryption and decryption. So what you have to remember, encryption always you need a public key. Decrypt always you need a private key, passphrase, and both of these things you need a fingerprint as well in order to encrypt and decrypt the content. So now we understood how to use a cryptography module in order to encrypt or decrypt the content using a MuleSoft. Thank you.